Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Creative Crossover. This is the show where I interview somebody working in the creative field and have a conversation with them about what they do, how they do it, and more importantly, why they do it. Before we get into today's show, it's still in its infancy, I just want to connect a bit more with you guys, so please find me on Twitter. It's at Jack Spedding, that's JAKSPEDDING. Reach out, tag a few people in who you think would be good on the show or would be interested in our content. That'd be absolutely amazing for getting the word out there. Today's guest is Matt Alpin from Matt Alpin Design. In his own words, he's a freelance creative living in the wilds of the north of England. So welcome to the show, Matt Alpin. Just to kick it off, please can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do, please?
So I'm Matt. I work full-time for a global flooring company called Havwoods as part of their e-commerce side of things called the Hardwood Floor Store Group. And when I'm not at work, I'm at home and working on my own projects, whether that's freelance or whether that's working for my friends and family. If I'm not doing that, I'll be in the gym or I'll be sat watching Netflix or cooking.
Right, cool, nice one. So first up, we've got a little quick fire round. So quick questions, they don't have to be quick answers. If you want to go into a bit more depth, feel free to. First up, iPhone or Android?
Android all the way.
Android, all right. You're a design boy and you like Android. That's
Yeah, I always had a Samsung from when I was younger. And although I can appreciate the Apple UX, and I think that looks-wise, aesthetically, the Apple blows Windows and Android out the water. But for me, expandable memory, headphone jack, and because I'm used to the Samsung operating system and the Android operating system, it's got to be Android.
Cool. I think I know the answer to this off your introduction, but Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix, all the way.
Cool. Work hard or play hard?
I think you can work hard and play hard. I wouldn't say I was.
Cool.
Yeah, on the fence on that one.
Text or call?
Call. A bit old school like that.
No, to be honest, everybody that I've been interviewing has been saying call. It's much easier, to be honest. I know from dealing with my own clients, like you can send 20, 30 emails or texts, but one call will always sort it out. So that's the way forward for me. Love or money?
That's a tricky one. Love.
Yep, cool. Is that in case your partner's listening?
Yeah, she sat just opposite me, actually, so I've got to say.
Yeah, cool. Book or audiobook?
Audiobook at the moment. I actually only just discovered Audible, and I'm a bit hooked. Can't stop.
Cool. Have you got anything good in your ears at the moment?
I've just finished Jason Fox's book, Battle Scars, which was absolutely fantastic and well worth a listen.
Right, cool. I'll check that one out. What's the best thing that you own?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Probably my trainers, because, like I said, if I'm not working, I'm in the gym. It keeps my head clear and it's such a good release, so couldn't live without them.
Cool. So that's your way to switch off, is it, going to the gym?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice
definitely.
one. Cool. So what's the best thing that you don't own?
Oh, the best thing that I don't own. I saw, and I don't know whether it's reality and available commercially or not, a guy who had a personalised drone chair thing, and he was kind of flying around like a one-man mini helicopter.
Right, cool.
And it looked incredible.
Right,
so,
nice one.
yeah, definitely the best thing I don't own.
Nice one, something to work towards. So, going back through your creative journey, where did it all begin for you, Matt?
So I first noticed that the idea of design in terms of graphic design, which is what I do now, first came to me when I was in a gap year. I was working in a school library, and part of that was trying to engage the young people in the school with reading. So I was tasked with creating a series of posters to try and get them into the library and engage them with the books.
Right, okay.
And I went on from there to go and study engineering at university at Brunel Uni in London, which was fine, but as I got there, I realised that I didn't really have any passion for maths or physics, and
Yep.
just engineering probably wasn't a good career path. So I left shortly after I joined and was kind of back at home, didn't really know what to do. And a friend introduced me to a guy who owned a creative studio in Lancaster.
Right. Okay.
And we kind of got chatting, and I said, I've done a bit of, I'd like to get into design, and I've done a little bit with various software packages. And he said, oh, do you want to come in for a trial? And just like that, I had my first job as a kind of junior designer, and it's just gone from there. I absolutely love it.
Nice one. Cool. So you're currently working in house, as you mentioned. What you say? What's your day-to-day role? How does that allow your creative juices to flow?
So I work for part of the Havwoods International Group, which is a big global flooring company. Now I work for a section of that called the Hardwood Floor Store, which comprises of an e-commerce brand called the Hardwood Floor Store,
Yep.
of a luxury vinyl brand called Plus Floor, which obviously you've done some fantastic photography of.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, you can check that out on the website. And a tile brand called Vetro, and just launching actually next Monday a trade wood flooring brand called HFS.co.
Right, cool.
So my role within that is to kind of manage all the marketing. Most of the marketing that we do is print based, so a lot of it is designing brochures which we send out quarterly,
Right,
as
yep.
well as keeping on top of the full websites, social media, making sure that all our external communications are on brand, designing sample labels, and working with as of last year, our global partners to support them in their marketing efforts as well.
Right, cool. It's interesting there that you mentioned most of it was print. Do you find that print is the most effective medium for you guys advertising?
The way that we get most of our business is we have a large customer database, and we send out our brochures quarterly. I think because the people who we're targeting are interior designers, architects, building contractors, flooring contractors. And when you've got something physical that's in front of you and you can see a sample swatch and then a site image, I think that's really powerful because they can see it and they can... I'm not entirely sure why it works better than digital for us, but obviously we've got the websites and we've worked hard on making sure that they're functional so people can order samples. But for some reason, print just has a much better... I guess I'm trying to say that print for us works miles better in terms of engaging our target audience.
And over the last couple of years, you've been doing more and more of your own work. So both freelance, and you also set up your own creative design agency. Please, can you just tell me a bit more about that, Matt?
Yeah, so when I left my first creative job, I had discovered this passion for design. And so I started out freelancing. First, I was doing work kind of for free for friends and family, bits of logo design. And then I kind of, as I've developed my skills, I've gone on to kind of work with slightly larger companies and work alongside other creative people as well. So I'd set up an agency with a fantastic creative talent called Jake, and we worked together on that project for a while before going our separate ways. But I learned so much about business and about learning how to run a business and finances and what not to do and what to do. So although it wasn't a massive commercial success, I think for me it was such a vital learning experience that I'm really glad that I took that step, and now I'm back on my own. Had a little website refresh over the last couple of weeks. I'm starting to build my portfolio back up and going to hopefully attack 2019 and see some big success.
Yeah, it's cool. You just mentioned something there about collaboration and how you're working with other people. Is collaboration big in how you work?
Definitely. I think that creatively, although I might have a good idea, someone else also would have a good idea. And I think that bouncing off each other, I know I will always work better if I'm in a team. I'm more comfortable if I can kind of sit and just chat and relax and work through ideas with other people. I do have a tendency to think of absolutely ridiculous ideas that would never ever work, and so having someone there to kind of wire me in is really handy at times.
Yeah. Cool. So, how do you go about when you're saying working in a team? There, how do you go about getting concepts together? Is it sort of you sit down and it's pen and paper, or are you out with the iPad? How do ideas come to you?
For me, I always start on paper. I think just sitting there with a completely blank canvas, if you will, is just a really good way. And the best thing about paper is that you can never get anything wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially when working in Illustrator, vectors, I like them to be 100% perfect. Whereas on paper, you can sketch something, you can sketch it again and again and again. And it's so much quicker to develop an idea from an initial shape into something that is more realistic or more true to what you wanted it to be than kind of going through iterations on a computer. And I've never really got on with graphics tablets. I do use it occasionally. I do use one. And as I've already said, I'm not a massive Apple fan, so I'm much happier with a pad and a pen.
Cool.
To start my ideas on.
Cool. I might have to change then. I'm big on my Wacom tablets, especially for stuff like Photoshop. I can't live without a Wacom tablet at the moment. It's so much easier trying to get away with a little trackpad and stuff like that, being able to use a pen.
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, it's something that I've been meaning to really sit down and try and master the art of it, because I think my workflow would become much quicker if I could get my head around using it. But it's just having the time when you don't have any pressures on, just to sit and play around.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite there yet. But yeah, it's on my list of things to do.
Cool. So where do you get inspiration from?
Absolutely everywhere. Taking pictures. I'm always out, and my partner will tell you this, or people, I'll stop and I'll look at a sign and I'll take a picture of a sign, or whether it's you see two buildings and you like the colours of them, and I'll take a picture of it. I find that everywhere there's some inspiration to be pulled, whether it's from an old book or a railway sign, or whether it's from scrolling through Instagram and seeing something that really catches your eye, just popping it in your saved items folder for a bit of inspiration later.
Yeah.
I think everything can be turned into something else. You just got to find the right project for it.
Yeah, definitely. Have you got I've been raving about this recently, but have you got the app Google Keep?
I actually don't know.
It's just basically, it's like a note-taking app, but you can put videos, links, images and everything in it. And it sets it up in this really nice tile format, so it looks quite creative. But that's the best one for me. Like, I'll wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll dreamt some random weird idea that I want to do and just whack it in there. And it's great for like linking photos, and you can scribble on it and stuff, saying what you liked about stuff, do it by date. It's just a great way of keeping almost your brain compressed into one little app on your phone. But
I'll have a look at that.
Cool.
That sounds perfect.
So what's your favourite thing to work on? What's your sort of ideal perfect project?
My perfect project will be a startup or someone who's got an idea that they're really, really passionate about, and they need a full brand. Building a brand from scratch with someone who's really passionate about what they do, I think is my ideal project.
Yes, nice one. And you're obviously still quite young, Matt. So what would you say the future holds for you? What's your end goal?
I would say that my end goal is to just carry on developing. I think whether that takes the form of another business, or whether that takes the form of me going kind of down the freelance route, I think I never want to stop learning. I think I always see other people's designs or other people's bits of work and think, wow, that's incredible. I'd love to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I'd love to make a living full time off my own work. But that said, I really enjoy what I do at the moment at the hardwood floor store. So I don't know. It's a kind of wait and see, really.
Cool. So nearly there. What's the one piece of advice you would give to people trying to get into your creative space?
I think I would say just go straight at it. Try not to think about things too much. For example, when me and Jake were talking about setting up this business, I think if we'd sat down and really thought about it and got our heads into the nitty gritty of it, we wouldn't have done it, and then we would never have learned, and we would never have. I wouldn't know anywhere near as much as I do now about setting up a business. Or I think sometimes you can overthink things, and that stops you. So it's one of my New Year's resolutions is to try and not overthink things too much, and instead just kind of go with my gut. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, you've learned something and move on, pick yourself up, try again.
Yeah, definitely. I know from my own personal experiences of setting up a company, you know you're good at, on your side, you're good at designing, but then there's so much stuff business-wise that you weren't really aware of. It's like almost going back to uni or back to college to learn a whole new set of skills outside of the skills that you already have. And it's where sort of the creative inside you dies, and the where does this businessman come into it? And that's, for me, as a creative business person, if you will, that's the hardest bit for it in running a business, is trying to define that line almost in between where you can be creative and where you have to be a business person, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really tough actually, especially as a lot of people who I know who are really creative have no concept of the world of business at all. And then to try and make a living off their creativity is really, really challenging, because they're constantly having to, like you said, straddle that line between being serious business person and making sure everything's done by the book and they've got all their invoices and receipts and whatnot. And to then, have their mind creative and free and able to produce their best work. I'd love to see the kind of how to set up a small business become more mainstream in schools, because it's nothing I ever learned about. I've done a little bit of
sort of tutoring at the local uni, and the way the whole sort of education system seems to be geared is just trying to get people into work. Like I'm saying to people, why don't you set up your own company? Why don't you try sort of freelancing for a couple of years? And they're in the third year of uni, so they've been there 3 years, they've spent a lot of money. And it's like, I've never even thought about that. It's like, why is that not even an option that people are being told? Actually, you can make quite a bit of money here. This is what you do, X, Y, Z. Sort of here's a toolkit almost to set up your own business. But everyone's sort of being forced into sort of working for someone else, which is great for some people. Don't get me wrong. Some people really enjoy it. That's how they thrive. But for other people, it's definitely best to sort of, as you were saying, just try it, just give it a go, see what happens. If it all goes wrong, you can always sort of slip back in employment, especially as you're 21, 22, as you're just leaving uni. It's that kind of thing where give it a go. If it works, it really works. But yeah, I suppose that's a question for me to take to Theresa May or somebody, isn't it, and have a word with the Education Secretary.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially with the creative industries, there's not necessarily massive overheads involved, particularly with design. When we were setting up this company, our biggest overheads, we both had the computers, and we both already had the Adobe Creative Suite. So then we're essentially set, ready to go with overheads of about £100 a month between the two of us. And so financially, we had nothing to lose, really. And I think that's really important. I think some people think that, if you set up a business, you could go bankrupt and you could end up, losing absolutely everything. And I don't think that's the case at all. There's so many people who are out there and willing to give advice and willing to help you through things that it's worth taking a risk and learning. And you never know, it might be a massive success.
Definitely. So final question, Matt, where can people find you online? Where's the best place to connect with you?
I'm currently, as I said, I've just finished a little bit of work on my website. So www.matt.alpin.com, or I'm on Instagram at Matt Alpin or at Studio Terrazzo. I don't even know how to spell that. Ter. Sorry, hang on. TERRAZZO. So Studio Terrazzo has got all my design work on, but I need to pad that out a little bit.
Excellent, nice one. Thank you very much for that, Matt.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
And that's it for today's episode of Creative Crossover. I really hope you found something valuable in my conversation with Matt there. Please do find him online and connect with him. If you could also leave us an iTunes review to allow us to grow the show and reach a few more people, it would really make all the difference. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.